This episode is sponsored by Wix Studio.
When is the last time you listened to a podcast about web development, web design, and small business and didn't fall asleep? Yes, we cover web development, web design, and small business, but like actual human beings with personalities. If you're a beginner, we're not going to talk over your head. It's more like asking your buddy for help. We have guests, we have fun, and let me tell you, these two can get off on a tangent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HTML All the Things Podcast. This is Matt Lawrence and Mike Curran.
That's right, everybody. We are back, and this is the HTML All Things Podcast. This is the second of two holiday-themed episodes. This is for some easy listening and all the classics of yesterday's hits or something. Anyway, no, this is our holiday episodes are intentionally for some less technical, some more easy listening, and so this one is going to come out right around New Year's. I think this might actually come out on New Year's Eve day, I suppose. So we're going to be talking about 2024 in review and looking towards 2025. That's the episode. That's episode title currently. Working title might change that up a little bit. But if this sounds interesting to you and you want to support the show, you can go and check us out on that Patreon, leave a review or rating on your podcast app, join us in our Discord server, or share this with your friends. And so in this episode, we're going to be reflecting on some milestones and challenges from the last year. We're also going to be talking about some things that I'm going to be implementing. However, I've actually already implemented a lot of them, so I'm just going to be continuing them because I'm seeing some success. We're going to be talking about that, and then we're going to be getting into actually some of our download numbers. So if you want to hear about some of our download numbers, we're going to be talking about our growth, shrinkage, whatever, all the stuff. I'm not going to give away any hints. We're going to talk about that stuff, actual numbers as well with percentages and stuff. So we'll get into that as well. So we're going to start off actually with consistent social media posts. So this is something that Mike and I actually discussed a lot. So this is a part of 2024 in review, not necessarily looking forward, although this is going to be something that we are going to be doing moving forward, is keeping up on social media is a bit of a pain, and it's like there's a lot of kind of thoughts. Like it's like, okay, I have to like write a post, and you might think like, why are you telling me about this? You know, like 2024 in review. This is a web dev podcast. Well, it's because we need eyeballs, right? We need eyeballs. We need ears. We need people to listen to the show. We need people to see our content. And doing just straight up SEO is not enough. If you're a person out there that has written anything for, like, let's say written your own personal blog, and chances are if you're listening to the show, it's going to be a more technical blog, maybe a marketing blog if you're more into SEO. You're going to be like, you know, it's great getting organic traffic. And if you're really lucky and you're really good at it, you're going to get a lot of organic traffic. But sometimes you do need a bit of a push, especially to get someone to say, listen to a podcast. And so maintaining a steady flow of things that people can kind of lock their eyes on, things that an algorithm, like an algorithm on X or YouTube or wherever, is going to actually feed that content to the person like going on those platforms is crucial. And so a big thing we've discussed a lot in 2024 is consistent social media posts. So Mike, a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago now, you like, you know, kind of blew up the Twitter account, now X. You blew up the X account. You were like on there all the time doing spaces, talking to people, getting guests and all kinds of stuff. But that's like a non-sustainable thing, right? It's sort of like you then, you know, started some more contract work, started some other things because we run a web dev agency and it's really difficult to sort of keep consistently posting. And, you know, unfortunately, this is less eyes on us, less people looking at us and stuff like that. So what we decided to do is we said, okay, we need to have consistent posts. And so Mike's been doing it. More recently on X, I've also been doing this as well. And these are sort of the three things that I'm going to be talking about how I've been doing my posts. So one of the things that I used to do on LinkedIn is I'd be like, oh, I have a topic to post about on LinkedIn. It's a CSS guide. It's something else or whatever. It's like a JS guide. It's a Webflow guide. But I want to write the perfect post. And I think that's actually a problem. So I try to avoid sort of the perfection paralysis, if you will. And I just go, you know what, I'm going to talk about CSS today. Like, I'm going to go in there. I might, you know, ask ChatGPT what it thinks of my post. I might post something that's more ad-like, where I literally just say like, hey, come check out my guide. If I don't have a lot of time that day, or if I don't feel like writing, sometimes I might write, a lot of the guide actually in the post, and the actual post itself will be very valuable. And absolutely, it's important to be consistent. It's important to provide good value, but it doesn't need to be perfect. These are just posts. Like someone's scrolling through, they're flipping through it really quickly, and short of it being, totally atrocious, where there's no paragraph breaks, it's hard to read, bad writing practices where it also makes it hard to read. You're fine for the most part. Like I have enough perfectionism, I guess, in my day-to-day where I can just post. And so that's one thing that I've been doing this year. I've started to do this earlier, like probably in the summer, and I've really ramped it up now. And it's just more eyes on us, more people to talk to. And it's really led to like a few more interesting guests. I've been chatting with more people, things like that. But I don't need to do like Mike, you can reflect on this anytime. Like you really blew up the X account. That's not what I'm doing here.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to kind of touch on this a little bit, because I was super active on X or Twitter for a couple of years, actually. Like it was a good 2-year stretch where I was going every day, responding to a bunch of people. And we did see growth during that time. Like we'll talk about the numbers shortly, but we can kind of reflect on the fact that 2022 and 2023 were the big 2 years of X, and those numbers were reflective. The problem was, again, that it requires a stupid amount of dedication and a stupid amount of like social energy, if that makes sense. You constantly have to be tapped into the industry. You constantly have to be tapped into every single person that's relevant in the industry, because you're not just posting, you're interacting. And that's really important for growing your social media account. But at the end of the day, a lot of the people that will come to you through there is not really the exact audience that you need. You need to have a more shareable content ecosystem where social media isn't your main funnel. Social media should be a very small funnel. In fact, it should be a place to interact with your audience when you've established an audience, and it should be a place for you to be able to kind of work on like stretching out your connections to that audience, right? So that should be really what it is, rather than being the actual funnel to get to your audience. The funnel needs to be from somewhere else, whether it be from SEO, like Matt was saying, whether it be from maybe video content or whatever. Like you can just do a lot of different things to get a better funnel than the social media funnel that is given. I mean, and social media funnel, I want to be clear here. I'm talking specifically about Twitter and X, because those are the things that I was familiar with at the time. I think there's other places that are better suited for putting my time and effort into that I have, that will get a better return of results. This is where we haven't figured out, I think, and we'll do a little bit of like looking ahead to 2025 and maybe reflecting on the numbers that we're going to present as well. And I'll explain a little bit more at that point. But suffice to say that I was going hard on X and Twitter, and I enjoyed it, but it's exhausting and it's not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. But it's still important to kind of keep the pulse on the industry there. So I'm still going to be posting on there. You can still interact with me, DM me anytime you want. My DMs are open. And I'm still going to be there. It's not possible for me to be like hours a day just posting on X. It's just not going to happen.
Well, that's part of the like perfection paralysis, right? Where I'm just sort of like, hey, I'm sitting down to work, but I would like to post something, because like you're right, like I do like social media really is sort of casting that net out and being like, does anyone want to watch this? Does anyone want to read this? Does anyone want to listen to this? And there's going to be a lot of impressions where people don't want to do any of that. They actually just want to maybe read your post itself and maybe comment, or just read and do nothing, or just pass by as well. And so social media is absolutely great for that type of thing. And I think that we do need to, keep that consistent flow. Like you've been posting more, I've been posting more, and that has been helping us. But it's just, we can't sit there and be like, okay, we're going to like formulate the absolute perfect plan where I'm going to be on 2 spaces, then I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to reply to 6 accounts, and I'm going to go here and there and all over the place. But by being consistent, this leads to my next point, which is increasing visibility. So I keep posting, obviously, and then that is kind of fuel for more opportunities. Like if we have a viral, and we have had the odd viral post on something like LinkedIn, or no, sorry, not LinkedIn, on Instagram, where we'll just have like an absolute like whole bunch of people just come and decide to start watching memes, because we post a lot of memes on there. What'll actually happen is I get random emails for other things. Like, no one, like, few people mention the memes, but all of a sudden people are like, can I guest post on your site? Do you do this? Can we sponsor you? Can we do that? Can we do this? Can we do that? And so by constantly posting on social media, we are absolutely increasing our visibility. We can't just be doing it for hours and hours a day. By posting consistently as well, though, we are learning through data. And so those posts hopefully will get like better and better. So we're getting valuable insights into engagement, what other social media mechanics, like how there's certain platforms like things, like does this platform like hashtags? Does this one not? Does this platform like long posts? Does this platform like or dislike links? Should links go in the comments? Those type of things. And then what's happening here is, by not being paralyzed by wanting an absolutely perfect post, and by not, wanting to be on there for hours a day and worrying about the numbers constantly, we're getting better data. We're constantly posting. And hopefully by doing this, we'll get a more sustainable kind of social media plan, I suppose. That's ultimately why I wanted to bring this up in the 2024 in review, is that obviously, like, Mike going ham for, 2 to 10 or whatever it was hours per day, it's ridiculous, right? Like, it's not sustainable, and it didn't make our numbers go crazy high, and we'll reveal those again later on in the episode. But it didn't make our numbers go crazy high anyway. And so it's like, okay, what is social media doing? And I hope that this conversation is useful to you out there, because we've mentioned in several episodes, hey, if you're learning coding or if you're learning this and that, go ahead and post on social, get a following, get people to like you, get people to comment on your stuff. Maybe recruiters will find you, the opportunities are out there. That's still very true, but it just comes down to, I'm not going to sit there and just like absolutely worry about social media all the time. I think so. The next thing, I suppose, at that point is we're going to be talking about learning new concepts. So one of the things that, I've been learning a whole bunch this year is AI, of course. I know AI is sort of an eye roller and people are like, oh, like, here we go. But, learning new concepts was a big thing this year. I really improved my productivity. So this year has been our absolute best year at the agency. I've been running around doing stuff for people constantly. Usually there's lulls in sort of like, oh, there's no work this week, but there's work next week type of thing. And it's not that it's a problem. It's some of these projects take a week to plan, right? So it's like you send in your proposal, the person waits a week, then they get back to you. So it's normal to have those lulls. But this week has just been super consistent. We've been charging rush rate for some people. There's been retainers in place. There's been all kinds of things. And so I've just needed to increase my productivity and time management skills. And so I've been doing that this year. And so I've been like, one of the things we've already touched on, perfection paralysis is gone on the social. It's like, hey, I need to fire a social post out today. We need to have some eyes on the show. We're going to fire that out. But then also things like, AI is going to come in and help me streamline all these workflows. It's going to help proofread a post. It's going to help me figure out which hashtags I should be using. It's going to help me maybe write the SERP description. So while I'm firing together the show notes, it's like, oh, shoot, I don't have a SERP description, meaning the search engine results page, the little description under the link. I don't have that. Hey, take my general description that I wrote and just make a quick SERP for me. That's, SEO friendly, things like that. And using all these new AI tools, like they added the advanced voice mode. They added the sort of search, I suppose, the SEO, what would you even call it? The search engine, I guess you can call it, on ChatGPT. They added all kinds of things this year. And so I've been really kind of like using a lot of AI tools. I started this year with a lot of Copilot usage. I switched over to ChatGPT, became a premium member. Now I'm a premium member, not the $200 tier. I'm in I guess it's the middle one, whatever it is, $20 a month or whatever. And so this has really helped me this year get a lot more done. This also helps because there's so many, like I said, so many different jobs going on, but now there's so many different social media networks that it's like, okay, I need to be posting everywhere. I need to be working on a whole bunch of things. I need to be getting things done. And so increasing productivity has been a huge thing in 2024, and it will absolutely be a thing that I'll continue doing through 2025. The other thing I've been doing as well is I've also been kind of coming up with custom solutions for efficiency. So coding up snippets, coding up little plugins for myself, whether that's little plugins that work with things like Webflow or maybe Elementor, doing, traditional programming and writing up little snippets for myself. I've been making, instead of like kind of reinventing the wheel each time, I've been making things faster and more efficient for myself. I've always sort of done this for larger tasks or things that were repeated a lot, but I've noticed there were a lot of things in my workflow that I was sort of redoing each time. I was going back, reinventing the wheel. I'd write up someone's copy rather than copy paste it, just little stupid things like that. Or I'd be like, someone needs a canonical link plugin for Webflow, for example. Okay. And I'd go and like code up the plugin. Then the next time I'd code it up a little different. The next time I'd code it up a little different because there's just a few lines. But I realized to myself, like, no, like I'm keeping these snippets aside and I'm going to actually just use these so that like, if I want to upgrade the code, I'll upgrade the code once and then I can upgrade the site subsequently. So sort of these like sort of more custom solutions through snippets and those type of things, which a lot of developers have done, plugins and those type of things have been a huge part of this year. And that speaks to itself, obviously, with increasing productivity. Like I'm at the end of the day here, I want to, learn new concepts, and I can't learn new concepts if I'm bogged down, right? If I'm bogged down in my productivity, if I'm bogged down constantly reinventing the wheel, I want to like constantly say upgrade my own plugin. I'm learning new concepts. I'm going, oh, hey, like I'm learning this, I'm learning that. I'm actually doing a better I'm doing a better job. I'm doing a faster job. I have this spare time now, and then I can start learning new things. And that's one of the things that Mike and I have been talking about doing, which is we had a couple live streams where we kind of planned out a golf app. And it's sort of like, it's time, I think, for me, like I've kind of mastered these no code tools that I'm using, and I'm still going to be using those for clients because they're fully in that ecosystem. But I think it's time for me to learn some more of these tools, at the very least at a surface level, so I can kind of hold a conversation more. So we're going to be looking at Svelte, and we're going to be looking at maybe some Svelte kit as well, things like that. So increasing my productivity without killing myself either. Like, to be clear, I'm not absolutely filling my schedule with nonsense where I just can't breathe almost. I'm increasing my productivity by using AI. I'm figuring out ways to post quicker. And that's a really key thing for me in 2024, just kind of as a personal note, is I've just learned to attack things better. Is I just go and I'm like, okay, like I'm going to go and attack this. Mike, you'll remember in the summer, I think it was, we had a crazy thing where like there was like 5 or 6 things that were supposed to be done. Like I think it was like 2 or 3 projects and like 5 or 6 things across those projects were just popping off. They all needed to be done in like a 1 to 2 week span. And I was like, I'm going to need another person, but we don't have one. And it's either turn people away and not get that money or figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just write this down in a schedule. I'm going to plan all this out and see if I can't get this done and execute this plan. And I've done that many times, but this was really, really time like specific, like one day off and we're screwed, and I ended up just executing it. And so in the past, I would have sort of cowered away probably from that, or would have cut one person or tried to push some people away and been like, we need a couple more weeks. But this year I just went in and attacked it and was like, the heck with all this. I'm going in and I'm doing this. And oftentimes when I did that, things got done earlier than they were supposed to. No one complained about timing. And the only time I ever missed anything this year in terms of deadline was when I was sick. And so that happens. Like, what am I going to do? But that's a big thing in 2024, increasing my productivity. And so now I can start hopefully learning a whole bunch of new concepts moving in to 2025.
I just want to give an example of something that I did recently that actually was super kind of a little bit mind blowing for increasing productivity. I have this concept of like, hey, we can use stuff like Bolt.new, which is an AI kind of app creator, essentially, that you can just put in a prompt and it'll create an entire full stack application with the database and all that for you. And I'm like, well, I have these like one-off tasks that I have to do once a month. And typically I would do it in like a spreadsheet or something like that and try to figure out a macro that would help me. And like I could ask ChatGPT to help me with the macro and back and forth. But I decided instead of doing that, to be even more efficient and just create like one-off apps that I use every once in a while. So for instance, I have a task that I need to do that generates an on-call schedule. So like every weekend we have an on-call engineer, and I usually make the schedule about 3 months out. So I need to, I have like 8 engineers, put engineers in. I have a bunch of weekends, and I need to kind of cycle through them evenly throughout the entire thing, and then come up with like a chart with dates and engineers' names. So I put all that into Bolt.new recently, which is the AI app creator, and it generated me an app that can do that for me. So like I put in names of the engineers, and that can be dynamic, and I asked it to be dynamic. I click generate, and it gives me the exactly formatted chart that I need. I copy paste that into my Notion, and I'm good to go. So now I've saved myself the time of having to manually or create a macro to do it or whatever by just putting in a very simple paragraph that took me about 3 minutes to write. And now I have this little app that I can just use, and it's deployed and it's good to go. So like, that's where I'm going with my like next level productivity now, is like, I'm going to start creating apps for things rather than even just creating spreadsheets and stuff like that help me automate things. Apps are going to be automating things for me now, which is crazy to think about. Like, these new tools that are coming out, I mean, kind of scary as a web developer, because again, that's usually typically my job. I could have coded that up, probably would have taken me a couple hours, no big deal, but this was 3 minutes of my time, and I had a working solution that I can now use forever. It's nuts.
Devs, this one's for you. I've got 30 seconds to tell you about Wix Studio, the web platform for agencies and enterprises. So here are a few things you can do in 30 seconds or less on Studio. Integrate, extend, and write custom scripts in a VS Code-based IDE. Leverage zero setup dev, test, and production environments. Ship faster with an AI code assistant. And work with Wix headless APIs on any tech stack. Time's up, but the list keeps going. Step into Wix Studio and see for yourself. Link in the show description and in the show notes. Well, it's scary in that you're like, oh my God, am I going to be replaced? But at the same time, you're like, well, this also made me a lot more productive. Like if there was an app that a client had requested that was like that, probably more complex than that though, but that was like that, you could have in 2 or 3 minutes, like you said, gotten that baseline model running. And then it's like, all right, now I'm going to go in there, clean up the styles, clean up this, and then, start coding up the additional features that are on top of it. And I think like what you're saying there, where, you're not necessarily using a spreadsheet, you're using an app. I know that some people love their spreadsheets, and spreadsheets are absolutely useful. I still use them. Yes, I know some people are passionate about it. I think there's literally like an Olympics of spreadsheets or something. There's competitive spreadsheet, like Excel. I don't know if you've seen that, Mike, but anyway, I've seen that a few times this year. Yeah. And like, I get it. Like, they're super useful. The thing is though, is like when you're like really trying to juggle a lot of stuff, sometimes you're just like, man, you open up an empty spreadsheet and it's like, holy crap. Or you open up a template, which gets you started, but then you're like, I got to get familiar with how this template works. But like, there's like something that we're going to talk about later on, looking forward to 2025, which is stretch goals. And I'll get into that later. But we made a quick little stretch goal app where I told you, I was like, I just kind of want like almost like a thermometer where it just tracks these like large stretch goals where I'm like, yo, I want 500 new blog posts or something. And this like thing just tracks it, and I can add or remove as things go up on the site. And it's just like this little stretch goal that I can look at to cut through any sort of analysis paralysis that I'm having at the time when I sit down and go, I want to make some content. What should I do? It's like, look at the thermometers and which one needs more help. This one, okay, let's go. A spreadsheet, could I do that? Absolutely. But this is just a little bit more of an elegant solution. Something real quick, easy. It's just for us. We're not selling it. We're not giving it to anybody. If someone breaks in there, I guess they're going to find out I have 13 of like 100 blog posts. Like, no one's like, what are they going to do? So that's been super cool, right? Is like, it kind of sounds like even you've been increasing your productivity through AI and things like that, of course. But this is going to allow us to learn more. Like, I've had time to like read Webflow, patch notes for people. I've had time to manage all the finances. Like, I'm more financially set up. Like, usually I keep all my receipts and stuff. And then at the end of the year, I just spend days and days entering it. A lot of my stuff is already organized, ready to enter, or has been entered already. Like, I've already gone in and I got to fix that. Yep. No worries. Like, it just makes things so much better. And so learning new concepts is just going to be, I think, the next step. Like 2025, learn new concepts. This year was just getting more productive, getting more done, having custom solutions, and just being more efficient with things. Way better. And like, we've already talked to death about the social media, but even our social media became more productive. Is like, quickly go in and do it. I recently signed up for CapCut Premium. And I'm using that on desktop to make some of our little memes faster. That's great, right? It's faster. I can quickly go in, boom, 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 click, 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 drag the text around. All right, ship it. Go, 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 go. Quick share it to everything. Go, go, go. Quick, quick, quick. Go, go, go. Why not be quick, right? Not rush, just be quick. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That's kind of been the motto of this year. Now, there have been some reflections that I want to say that are, I don't know if they're troublesome. Like, we've had some very serious conversations, and this is kind of the meat and potatoes of this episode. So 2024 has been a little bit crazy. So I have some statistics for us. The show started in 2018. It is now 2024, and we're recording this on December 19th, so the year's not over. But we've had a bit of a tumultuous year in terms of download numbers, but there's potentially some related trends with it. And this isn't me whining, like I just want to kind of give you guys insights into what we're kind of facing and what we're discussing. So 2018, and I'm not going to do all these numbers. I have all these numbers written down. They're going to be in the show notes on htmlallthethings.com. So I'm going to mention some percentages and maybe some specific numbers as I discuss. I'm not going to go in and be like, in 2022, we had 202,702 downloads with an increase of 71,196, which is at a rate of 54.2% additional downloads 2021. Like, and not like some old school auctioneer auctioning off like the world's first Ferrari that like Enzo drove or something. So whatever. 2018, we had 5,909 downloads. First year I think we started in the summer, whatever. Next year was a huge jump, 970% increase to 63,232. That's 2019. And then we increased year over year. So I'm not going to get into the numbers, but we increased by 63.1%. Then we increased by 27.6%. So less growth, but still growth. Then we increased by 54.2%. So this is 2022. Okay. Keep increasing, right? 54.2%. 2023, an increase of 20.8. So we have this weird, like, big increase, little increase, big increase, little increase. And this year is our first year of shrinking, which is at negative 31.1%. Again, to date, we still have some days left in the year. Now, we were kind of panicking. We were kind of worrying. It's like, oh my God, like, what do we do? Is the show over? But the show kind of fell and then stayed plateaued. So I don't know if the overall numbers are going down, whether that's the back catalog or whatever, but there were some key things that happened in 2024. The first one is one of our top podcast download platforms was Google Podcasts. It was in the top three. Our top three, not in any order because it flips around all the time, is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and then it was Google Podcasts. Again, not in any order. And Google Podcasts ceased to be this year. And so that hurts our stats. Now, we are in YouTube Music. I know YouTube Music is not as popular for podcasts, but we are on there. And we do get some downloads on there. But that, as far as I know, actually, no, they are not currently, as far as I remember, reflected in these statistics. So those have to be added in separately. So this negative 31%, negative 31.1% for 2024 is not as bad. It's probably like negative 25% or something because we do have YouTube Music numbers in there. However, like, this, when I wrote this out, it's like this actually trends with some related industry trends. And it does this reflect on something that's happened in this year, like, so, or in these past years in the industry as a whole. So the COVID hiring spree, I kind of pegged at around 2020 to 2022. These aren't exact dates, but that's approximately, I would say, is when there was like this really big boom in hiring, right? The pandemic is raging and everyone's like, oh my God, like, you know, we need technology. We need to be interconnected. We need all these developers to make all these tools to keep us connected because we're in quarantine, we're in lockdown, we're in this and we're in that, and we don't know what's going to happen. So all these developers get hired. And if people are looking to become developers, we talk a lot to the junior developer crowd. And so it would make sense, not saying this is exactly what happened, but it would make sense that our audience would grow and engagement would grow during those years. And that's kind of exactly what happened, right? So we had a 63.1% increase in 2020 from 2019. 2021 is like kind of the first year in like serious quarantine. So we saw a bit of shrinkage, but everything did. So a plus, not a shrinkage overall, but we saw a plus only 27.6% increase. And so you're like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? Then people start hiring like crazy in 2021. 2022 sees a boom, like plus 54.2%, right? So it's like, oh, okay, like let's go, let's get a job. And so a lot of people probably found us during that time. But then 2023 and 2024 rolls around And we got some post-pandemic layoffs. We're still seeing some of that. A lot of it's kind of done-ish right now, but still happening. So we had this wave of layoffs. And unfortunately, we also saw at the same time, and not saying it's because of this, but it really could be because we saw a decline in downloads and engagement during this time. And so it's like, is this sort of the industry? Like, is the industry seeing a shrink where people are being like, I don't know about this. Like, we're seeing the meme of like, whenever you go to a job fair for computer science students, you see computer science students lined up out the door. It's like, are computer science students being absolutely destroyed? I don't know. Right. Some people consider computer science to be different than development, whatever, but I'm not gatekeeping. I really don't care. Point of the matter is, like, is this industry seeing a difference where there are less beginners and so there's less appeal for a show like ours? Like, I don't know. Are we going to see less developers on the scene in general? I don't know. I'm just saying that these are the numbers that are placed in front of me, and it does play to this COVID hiring spree and then post-pandemic layoffs, like, kind of spree. There were other things that obviously happened. Like, we talked like Mike going ham on X, and like now I'm starting, like, then we like kind of took a break from social because we had a lot of projects come in. So like, there's a bunch of different factors, but I don't know. Is this an indicator that our industry may see a little bit of shrinkage? What do you think, Mike?
So I have other thoughts on this as well. I think partly what you're saying is correct, right? Our podcast is very targeted at junior developers. We're trying to establish ourselves a little bit more with the mid to senior crowd now, since we've started to reflect on these stats over the past few months. But the reality is that our major audience is junior developers. And you are 100% correct that yes, junior developers, there's less of them now because of the fact that the industry is getting harder to get in, right? The work from home craze is ending. It's going back to office. Like, there's less of a job market there, less boot camps to bring people in, less people to listen. I think it's very much on us, the fact that we didn't adapt to that, right? Like, we weren't like clued into the industry enough to be like, hey, we should probably get out of that situation and like try to target more senior developers that are already in the industry. Like try to go more general purpose to the higher end crowd or something like that. We didn't do that. That's on us, but that's the reality that we're in. So we had a pretty significant decline partly because of that. I think the other part is exactly what you said. Our business, our actual like web development business is kind of booming. And the reality is that as much as we want to spend all the time we can on HTML, the things, it just doesn't get the time that it needs. Like, to really establish ourselves in this space, in my opinion, it needs to be kind of a semi-full-time job for the both of us for several years. That's the reality, in my opinion. Like, the fact that I went ham on X when I had a little bit more time, right? Like, when I was not as deep into these contracts that I am, showed that had effect. Whether it was the right move or not, whether I could have spent my time better, maybe, right? But it showed, like Matt said, 54% increase, 20% increase. Like, that was probably somewhat correlated to that and the boom of hiring. I think both of those things definitely did reflect on that. So at the end of the day, it's really on us. We didn't establish ourselves with enough content for the people that were left in the industry, because I know for a fact that other programming podcasts, the higher end ones, like the ones that are above us, didn't receive this kind of downturn, right? Like, I've asked them their stats. They told me, like, in general what they're at. So they were able to adapt. We were not able to adapt, but most of them are full-time content creators, full-time on the podcast. So that's where I think the biggest difference is. And so we have to be realistic with ourselves with being like, hey, we're making the most amount of money we've ever made in our services industry. So that's a good thing. We have to give ourselves a pat on the back. We have to be okay with that. We have to be happy about that. But we also have to take ownership of the fact that we just didn't put enough of our time into this to justify an increase in listenership. Because podcasts is another thing that, like, you can't just put podcasts out there and expect people to listen to them. There is no discovery engine, or no really good discovery engine. Spotify kind of has one, but it's shit. There's no really good discovery engine for podcasts. Podcasts are all about, you have an audience, you have an established audience, you need to make shareable content so that people share your podcast, and you need to share about your podcast somewhere, whether it be SEO articles about your podcast, whether it be social media, whether it be videos. The podcast has to be grown by something, by your effort to grow it. And that's where we lacked. And I'll take full ownership of that. Like I had zero time this year to really put time into growing the podcast. 99.9% of everything that happened this year was Matt, and that's just not enough. We need both of us to do it, right? Like Matt did everything he could because he was also just absolutely rammed this year, but he was the one that was actually doing stuff for the podcast, whereas I was doing, we still record every episode. We still alternate every episode. So I was still writing episodes, but I wasn't doing anything on top of that to promote it. I was posting a little bit on X. A little bit on X isn't going to get you anywhere really consistently. Yeah, it's helpful. It's better than nothing, but it's not going to get you to the next level. So there was that lacking effort or the lacking time effort on my part where I couldn't put time into it. Now, full disclosure, I have a 1-year-old girl that was born last year in 2023, I should say. So that played to affected it. And I have these big contracts. So no excuses, but that is the situation, right? Like there is a reason it's down. I'm still very proud of where we're at with the podcast. I don't have any intention of stopping it because I think it's a great resource for ourselves to kind of develop. And I still think we can get back to where we were and above. But to say that I'm not like a little bit upset about the numbers would be not true. Like I am still kind of upset.
Yeah, and like this episode's absolutely not meant to be like pointing fingers or anything. Like I absolutely could have been more like present on the blog or present on this or present on that. Like you're obviously dealing with family, like you have a new daughter and stuff. Like totally. Like, and you're right. Like there's if you look at the amount of like food on our plate, it's just like the HTML, all the things like section of the plate is like smaller because there's only so much plate and there's only like so much food that can fit on the plate. And we've had like just our fill. Like I said, I'm going to be working all the way until Christmas Eve. Likely I've been ripping, 5 a.m. nights even right now. Like just this week I did a couple 5 a.m. nights and I'm like still behind and like still trying to rip things down. So it's like, it just comes down to like time in that. But you're right. Like the podcast is a lot of fun and we're learning a bunch now too. Like we've mentioned learning a bunch in this episode. It's like if we become more productive, which we have been, like I've been posting a lot on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And like I was doing that before and it's not really interrupting my work either.
I want to kind of also bring up something as well that I feel kind of bad about. We have a contributing author on the podcast that I think goes above and beyond what he's actually like what we're paying him to do, which is write articles. And he really believes in the podcast, Michael LaRocca. And he's done an absolutely amazing job at, evangelizing and bringing potential guests in for us, right? Like he's done a really good job at kind of filling that role that I had where I was going out there and finding guests the last couple of years and establishing ourselves in the community. Michael has continued that on and done an absolutely fantastic job. And I think we've dropped the ball on some guests. So we had opportunities with a couple of guests that we just didn't reach out to because again, it goes back to the fact that there's only so much time we have. We're already recording an episode. All the guest episodes are extra episodes for us, right? Like we've decided that last year that people are listening to us because we have the establishment of, myself and Matt. That's the reason that people are coming to the podcast. Guests, I think, should always be an add-on to that. And so that obviously is an extra interview that we have to do and an extra outreach and extra research that we have to do that. Again, it's a significant amount of time on that. So I kind of want to apologize publicly to Michael LaRocca for not taking advantage of all the work that he's done to bring in some amazing people. And we're going to do better next year. Like I think we will establish a better plan for moving forward, but he's done a really good job at that.
Well, actually, to be honest, we've actually already done that. So we had the Tom Chant episode, which is already out. We already have one episode that's already written and done, and we have it scheduled for the first week of the new year. These are interview episodes I'm talking, and we have someone else that literally just last night was like, yo, you should gotta reach out to this person, and I have that on the ticket for today in 30 minutes. So I'm gonna do it. Like, don't worry. Like this year has been the year of things collapsing because there's too much going on and being like, okay, like I'm not gonna give up all this money. I'm not gonna give up the podcast. I'm not gonna give up. I need to get this like stuff sorted. And like, whereas I've always been a pretty organized person actually for work stuff, this year has been like the hardest, most challenging year for that. And becoming more efficient has just been like an absolute godsend. And I'm going to continue to become more efficient because I'm still playing with different to-do apps. So I'm still kind of in between to-do apps and stuff. But like, I'm absolutely like totally gonna like continue doing this. And Mike is 100% right about Michael LaRocca. Like, we've missed a guest or two. Some guests have just been hard to schedule because like they're busy, we're busy, like whatever. That's totally reasonable. Things come up for both of us, like that's fine. But there's been like, and like Michael LaRocca does absolutely go like above and beyond. And a lot of the interviews you've listened to this year, and the one that you just did, Thomas Chant, hopefully go check that episode out. As well as the two that are coming up in the new year are 100% him. Like, I didn't reach out to those people. He did it. And then I reached out. Like, it was sort of like, he was like, yo, man, you want this? Yeah. Okay, Matt will reach out, and I reach out. So like total, like, I know we give a shout out to him at the end of the episode, but like a total another shout out, like totally above and beyond. He's been helping. He's been giving us shout outs in his other articles and a bunch of other stuff as well, because I've been telling him about the challenges we've been facing with the download numbers, and he's been like a total godsend that way. So totally appreciate it. Go check him out, selftaughttxg.com. Great dude, and great writer and all that. Go and check that out totally. But yeah, like I don't know, this episode is definitely different from our other like programming. Like, this is why we wanted to do it in our in our like holiday episode thing. And also we recorded both these holiday episodes at the same time as well, just to make sure that we're kind of in the same because they're going to complement each other to some extent. To make sure we got them done during all the craziness that is the holidays. So with that said, the holiday that this is releasing in front of is New Year's. Looking forward to 2025. We've mentioned some of this stuff already, but one of the really big things for me is large stretch goals. So this is something I brought up to Mike about a month ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I told Mike, I said, you know what? We got a problem. And I said, one of the big problems is this. Client comes to us, all right? And this is not a client complaint. This is like an organizational complaint. Client comes to us and they go, we want to be more successful. We want more organic traffic. We want help with our SEO. Okay, we go look. Let's just say the technical audit passes. Boom. The technical SEO is good. Maybe a few little touch-ups. Great. So I go to them and I say, all right, this is what we want. I want 100 blog posts. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. I want this. And I said, this is what we need to do. And I said, I can help you with this. I can help you with that. I can help you with all this. Here's all the different, packages or whatever. That's what we do. We don't do that to ourselves, though. Well, so what I'll do is I'll look at the HTML of the Things website and be like, man, it would be great if we had more traffic. So then I'll slowly over like 2 months write a blog post and ship it out. And to me, that's not acceptable anymore. So what I want to do, and in fact I already have, is I'm setting these large stretch goals that are largely unattainable. This is intentional. My stretch goals are actually ideal goals. So what I've done is I've said, okay, I want, and this is just an example, but I want 100 blog posts by May on the HTML of the Things website. That's actually a goal that I have set currently in one of my apps, in the little app that Mike made with the AI tool. That like I want 100 blog posts by May, new ones on the HTML of the Things website. I'm not going to reach that goal. Like I would need to do at the time of me, kind of throwing this idea around, I would need to do like one every 3 days or something like that. That's ridiculous. But what it does is it cuts down on that analysis paralysis. If I sit down and I go, okay, I want to, contribute to Hat today. I got 2 hours. What am I going to do? I can take a look at my thermometers because they're little like thermometer progress bar sort of layout. I think I've shared a screenshot on X. But I take a look at it and I go, this one's kind of low. I'm going to do that. And it's less about these goals that I'm not going to attain. It's more about the needs of the website. In my mind, the website needs 100 new posts. I think we will need 100 new posts to really branch out and to break into a new traffic tier. So in order to do that, we need to do it. And so I am like, okay, that's what, like, if a client came to us, if we were somehow our own clients and we came to our own clones and we said, what do we need to do? I would say, I think you need 100 posts. And I think you should do it this way. And I think this is how you should do it. For us, Mike and I behind the scenes would be like, well, we know that we're kind of, busy, we're this, we're that. And we're just like a little too easy on ourselves. So I want to set stretch goals based on the needs of our products, like in this case, the website, based on the needs of the products and not based on our needs. And then we need to figure out how to do it. Again, many of these are going to be unattainable. Chance of me getting 100 new ones is like some nonsense. However, I have one huge blog post already done in the last 2 weeks that I would never have done without that. The point of these unattainable, quote unquote, goals is that the website needs it and I'm going to push towards it. I'm likely going to miss it, but I'm going to push towards it. and maybe I'll get 10 more posts than I would have done. And that's only 1/10 of what we need. However, it's still a goal we can go for. So if I miss the date, all right, great. All right, now the date is December, but we still need 100. We still need 100. We want 100. Push toward the 100. That's the milestone. The milestone is not 100 on the date. The milestone is we want 100 new ones. So hopefully this sort of stretch goal, needs goal, whatever you want to say, hopefully this helps a lot. And it has been currently. I've been ripping a blog post. I think I told Mike the other night, I actually finished the blog post itself and just putting together the example section. And and this includes like tailored screenshots, high def screenshots, and all the rest of it because it's a guide. And like it's 9 or 12 or something like that pages. Like this is a big post and it's going up. Like it's going to go up. And what I've started doing as well is I go and I start applying myself a little more too. So I start going, oh, we need blog posts. Well, what's something that forces me to do a blog post? Well, if a sponsor or if someone like a sponsor or a partner or someone else is relying on the blog post, I will rarely, if ever, miss the deadline for that person. I will always make sure that that person gets what they wanted or needed. So I go, oh, okay, perfect. You know what? I'm going to start offering this to sponsors, or I'm going to start talking to sponsors, or I'm going to start talking to, in this case, I'm talking to friends. You'll see a blog post come out on a friend's blog soon where I'm like, I need backlinks. The heck with it. Even though this doesn't go directly to my 100 blog post goal, I'm going to write this. This is going to force me to get this blog post done. I'm going to send this to them. Their site's going to benefit. I'm going to benefit. They'll probably write a blog for my blog, maybe, like whatever, if they have time, if they want to. And then now we have that relationship there. Like I'm applying myself more in a business sense and realizing my own strengths of being like, if it's just for me, I'm probably not going to do it. If someone's relying on me, I'm going to get the dang thing done, sick or not, or whatever. And so that's where I'm at.
I think that's a really good point. And I also kind of want to point out that this is a methodology called OKR, goal setting. I'm sure some people will cringe at that because some companies take it too seriously. But regardless, the whole point is you set these crazy unattainable goals. And then if you hit 80%, 70% of them, that's a good metric, right? And if you hit less than 50, then you have to correct and stuff like that. So it's just a way to kind of push yourself, but also know that you're not meant to hit 100%. But if you're setting like an unattainable goal and you hit 150%, that's a crazy metric. And that happens sometimes, right? Like sometimes you'll just figure out a way to actually hack that goal and get it to go way beyond what you hit. And then you can get better at goal setting. Anyway, just a little spiel on that for whatever reason. But I kind of want to just talk about a little bit about my kind of unattainable goal. And that's to launch 2 new courses this year. So it wasn't even last year. It was, I think 2 years ago now, I launched the Svelte for Beginners course on Udemy. And that 3-month span or 4 months, I can't remember how long exactly it took me, but I think it was around 3 months of like pretty much full-time work to create that first course. I've never created a course before. I've never created that much video content before. So it was like learning how to edit, learning how to teach, learning how to do like example project. It was like learning every part of the process to create a course all in a 3-month span and actually releasing a course and then having it, sell over, I think it's like 300 copies at this point, in the 4 figures in terms of profits and stuff like that. Having it sell okay, like it's nothing like life change or anything, but it actually brought in some income, got some hype, and just the process of creating that course was me posting about it, was me hyping it up on social media, was me creating content out of it, learning new things about the technology that I like to work with, which is Svelte. And then I stopped doing it, which I'm kind of disappointed in myself for because I really enjoyed the process. It was difficult. It was hard as hell. And it took a lot of time, but I really enjoyed it. And I want to get back to that. And I think that's where I can be of most help to you, to the audience, is teaching you new things. And so, first of all, what I want to do is, because that course, was old, I think it was Svelte 4 when Svelte 4 just came out. Svelte 5 is out, so I want to update that course, update the Svelte for Beginners course to Svelte 5. I'll probably keep similar structure really quickly on that. I'm not sure where I'm going to release it yet. This is something that I don't know. We have, at the company I'm working for right now, we have an education platform called Cypher and Updraft. It's more dedicated towards Web3 education, but it is going to have some kind of side quests for different kind of courses for web development and stuff like that. So it might go on there. It might go back on Udemy. It might go on a completely different platform. I don't know, but I do want to create a course, and both these courses might go on 2 different platforms. That's the other thing. I might try different things, right? Just to see what platform makes sense. I don't think I'm going to be building a brand new platform. That's for sure. I know a lot of people go down that route as soon as they start creating e-learning courses. I don't think that's what's going to happen this year, but I do want to create a beginner Svelte course and maybe a more advanced Svelte kit course where we build some sort of a big project with many different integrations, a very real world Svelte kit course that you could take like, hey, I learned this, I can take it and I can actually like build an entire enterprise application from this course. So my hope would be that someone would buy that course for his entire development team if they want to switch to SvelteKit and be able to take that team from zero to SvelteKit expert to be able to go out and actually like build their entire stack on SvelteKit with serverless and a bunch of other stuff. So that's a big goal. The beginner SvelteKit course is also a pretty big goal, considering what I've mentioned before with a child and a full-time pretty big contract that we're working on. So I want to do it though. This is the thing. Like I really want to do this, and I'm kind of passionate about it. And I think it's also going to generate a lot of content for the site. I think it's going to generate a lot of content for social media. Just me doing something outside of just work, I think is going to help me balance out my skills a little bit too. I just need to find the time to do it. I just need to figure out a schedule that works for me and for my family and for work that makes sense. That's where I'm struggling right now. And I think that's going to be kind of a really big point of thought and introspection during the holidays. I'm going to try to think of different things I can try. I'm not going to like figure out an exact perfect method, but I'll try different paths. And then I'm going to try to execute those starting in January. So I'm kind of excited for that for 2025.
I think for whatever reason, like 2025 is just going to be a big year. Like I think we're popping off like more than normal. Like even if our agency business like were to shrink, because it's possible. Like I mean, obviously we're finishing a lot of things. So if we finish everything and then and then everything's done, then it's done. Like that's still totally fine. Like we've kind of like made our money. I don't know what I thought, like not literally millions or anything like that, but like we've like
we're not done yet, but yeah.
No, but like there's enough work to be done. Like I could quickly be like, all right, move to Hat, let's go, do some more stuff on there. So I think it's just going to be like a year of like really pushing forward, and like the latest few months, like if you just go and check out, like I run the Threads account, the HTML All the Things Threads account. I run obviously my own Blue Sky account, Matt Lawrence. And then on LinkedIn as well, I've been actually writing quite a bit on LinkedIn. There's a group for HTML All the Things as well as just me. You can follow me, which is Matthew Lawrence on there, because I had to put Matt as a nickname, and then it was like Matt Lawrence, and I was like, that's freaking stupid. But because I verified myself on there. But regardless, like it's just one of these things where I just think this is like a good year. Like it's just going to come up, and I always struggle to say like, oh, like I'm going to set a New Year's resolution, because I think it puts too much weight on it. So I'm already kind of doing the stuff I'm saying. I've already set my stretch goal. I'm already posting on social media consistently. I'm already watching the numbers for the podcast. I'm already like blogging more. I'm already getting interviews organized and going. And we've already done one. Another one's already scheduled. Another one's coming up in the scheduling phase. So like, I mean, we're going like this is like, we're going ham. We're going hard. And that's just the way. That's just hopefully the way we go into 2025 as we kind of hit the ground running and get things done. And I hope I learned some new things. Like I know that was a section of the show that we kind of went past because there's just so much already, but I'm hoping that all this sort of productivity increase and all this extra time, I guess you could say, allows me to somehow like learn a few new skills as well. So we'll see what's up. But I think that's it. That's kind of the year interview. Definitely different than our regular content. We're not talking about any sort of specific web development stuff or anything like that. Talking about social medias, productivity, some numbers, and then 2025 coming up really, really soon as of recording this. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your holidays as well. And if you'd like to support episodes like this going into 2025, I guess not like this, like our regularly scheduled programming, remember we are on Patreon. That is patreon.com/HTML all the things. And many thanks to our $3 tier patrons, Tim from the Web Hacker on thewebhacker.com, Jason from Geek Life Radio via geekliferadio.com, Garrett Segal, Level Up Financial Planning via www.levelupfinancialplanning.com, Magnus from YesWeb via yesweb.se, Syntaxify Levi from the HTML All the Things Discord server, and Stacy Mosteler from the website swoonworthydesigns.com. And once again, we'd like to give a shout out to Michael LaRocca, contributing author on HTMLallthethings.com. Michael is the author, of Self-Taught, the X Generation blog at selftaughttxg.com. Feel free to leave a comment or a review in the platform that you are listening to this on, and we are signing off. Happy New Year.
You've been listening to HTML All the Things podcast. Web development, web design, and small business. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we hope you appreciate that we talk to you like human beings. And we hope you had some fun. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon at HTML All the Things. And on Twitter at HTML Everything. Until next time, this is HTML All the Things, signing off.